Look up at the night sky. When you gaze into the infinite expanse of the cosmos, what do you see? Billions of stars, swirling galaxies, and the deep, silent void of space. For centuries, humanity has believed that what we can see, touch, and measure is the entirety of existence. We walk upon this earth with a sense of ownership, believing we are the ultimate masters of this realm, and that the physical universe is all there is. But what if our reality is merely a single drop in an endless, unfathomable ocean? What if the world we perceive is surrounded, penetrated, and observed by dimensions and beings so terrifyingly beautiful, so immensely powerful, that if the veil were lifted for even a fraction of a second, the human mind would shatter from the sheer weight of the spectacle? Welcome to the realm of Al-Ghayb, the unseen. Before the first grain of sand existed on earth, before the oceans flowed, and long before the first breath of human life was ever taken, the universe was not empty. The Creator brought forth life, but not from clay or dust. He commanded existence from elements that defy our physical laws. To understand the journey of the human soul, we must first understand the crowded, unseen theater in which our lives are played out. We must speak of the beings of pure light and the creatures of smokeless fire. Let us begin with the architecture of the heavens and its silent, tireless inhabitants, the angels. In modern times, human culture has reduced angels to gentle figures with feathered wings, playing harps on clouds. But the reality recorded in ancient texts and divine revelations paints a picture of beings so colossal and majestic that they defy mortal comprehension. The angels were created from pure, unadulterated light, Nur. Unlike humans, they do not possess the burden of free will. They do not experience the tug of desire, the exhaustion of the body, or the whisper of temptation. Their existence is one of absolute, unwavering obedience to the divine will. They do not eat, they do not sleep, and they do not reproduce. They are the celestial mechanics of the universe, executing the commands of the Creator with perfect precision. Imagine the sheer scale of these beings. It is recorded that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, saw the Archangel Gabriel, in his true, original form only twice. When he looked up, he saw a being so massive that his form completely filled the horizon from east to west. Jibril possessed 600 wings, and from them fell jewels, pearls, and rubies of unimaginable colors. This is the messenger of the heavens, the one entrusted with bringing the divine words to the prophets, from Noah to Abraham, from Moses to Jesus, and finally to Muhammad, peace be upon them all. He is the Holy Spirit, a being of overwhelming power, yet absolute submission. But Jibril is not alone. The cosmos is teeming with angelic hosts. There is Mikael, the angel entrusted with the sustenance of life, directing the winds, the clouds, and the rain to fall exactly where the Creator commands. Not a single drop of water hits the earth without an angel guiding its descent. There is Israfil, the silent watcher, holding the great horn, his eyes fixed unblinking on the divine throne, waiting for the singular command to blow the blast that will end the universe. And then there is the angel whose very name sends a shiver down the spine of every mortal, Azrael, the angel of death. He is not a grim reaper with a scythe, but a majestic, awe-inspiring entity whose sole duty is to extract the soul from the physical body when the appointed microsecond arrives. He treats the souls of the righteous with a touch softer than silk, drawing the spirit out like a drop of water pouring from a pitcher. But for the wicked, his presence is an overwhelming terror, extracting the soul like a thorny branch being pulled through wet wool. The angelic realm is also intimately tied to your everyday life. You are never truly alone. Beside you, at this very moment, are the Kiram Katibin, the noble recording angels. One sits over your right shoulder, recording every act of kindness, every moment of charity, every pure thought. The other sits over your left, recording your transgressions. Yet, out of divine mercy, the angel on the left waits hours before recording a sin, hoping you might seek forgiveness. Furthermore, there are the Hafeza, the guardian angels. They march before you and behind you, protecting you from accidents, unseen harms, and tragedies that are not destined for you. When a car suddenly stops inches from your body, or when a falling object misses you by a hair, it is not mere luck. It is the unseen hand of a guardian angel, executing a divine command to preserve your life until your appointed time. The heavens themselves are heavy with their presence. It is said that there is not a space of 4 fingers in the heavens except that an angel is placing his forehead on the ground in perpetual prostration, declaring the perfection of the Creator since the dawn of time until the end of days. But the angels are only one half of the unseen world. While the heavens are filled with beings of light, the earth and the dimensions parallel to it are shared with another creation entirely. Before humanity walked the earth, the world belonged to the Jinn. If angels are made of light, The Jinn were created from marriage min nar, a scorching, smokeless flame. This origin gives them a nature fundamentally different from angels and closely resembling humans in one terrifyingly crucial aspect: free will. The Jinn are not demons by default, nor are they mere myths or spirits of the forest. They are a fully functioning, diverse society living right alongside us, separated only by a veil of perception. Because they are made of a different elemental frequency, they can see us, but we cannot see them in their natural form. The Jinn build communities. They have kings and armies. They eat, they marry, they have children, and they eventually die. And just like humans, they have a choice. Among the Jinn, there are righteous believers who pray, fast, and do good deeds. There are ordinary Jinn who simply live their lives, minding their own business. But there are also the wicked, the malevolent, and the tyrannical. These dark entities among the Jinn are what we call the shayatin, the devils. They possess abilities that seem like magic to our physical limitations. They can traverse the globe in the blink of an eye. They can shapeshift into the forms of animals, particularly black dogs or snakes, and occasionally even take human form. Throughout history, human beings have foolishly tried to harness the power of the Jinn. In the era of the great prophet King Solomon, he was given dominion over them, forcing massive Jinn builders and divers to construct monumental temples and retrieve treasures from the depths of the ocean. But after Solomon, humans who dabbled in the dark arts, black magic, sorcery, and the occult, did so by making horrific pacts with the worst of the Jinn. In exchange for fleeting power, illusions, or the ability to harm their enemies, these humans sacrificed their eternal souls, bowing to beings of fire who hold nothing but contempt for humanity. To understand why the wicked Jinn despise us so deeply, we must travel back to the dawn of human creation. We must speak of the most tragic and terrifying figure in the unseen world: Iblis. Many mistakenly believe that Iblis or Satan was a fallen angel. But Islamic theology clarifies this misconception with absolute precision. Angels cannot disobey. Iblis was a Jinn. However, he was a Jinn of such extraordinary devotion, intellect, and worship that the Creator elevated him to the ranks of the highest angels. For thousands of years, Iblis worshipped among the beings of light. He was respected, honored, and powerful. But deep within his heart of smokeless fire lay a hidden seed of arrogance. Then came the turning point of cosmic history. The Creator gathered the inhabitants of the heavens and announced his intention to place a new creation on earth, a vicegerent, a representative. He created Adam not from light, not from fire, but from sounding clay, from the dark, heavy mud of the earth. The angels were confused. They asked, "Will you place upon the earth one who causes corruption and sheds blood, while we declare your praise and sanctify you?" But the Creator replied, "I know that which you do not know." The Creator taught Adam the names of all things, granting him an intellect and a capacity for conceptual knowledge that even the angels did not possess. To honor this new creation and to test the inhabitants of the unseen, the command rang out across the heavens, "Prostrate before Adam." It was not a prostration of worship, but one of profound respect and acknowledgement of the divine decree. Instantly, all the billions of angels, from Jibril to the lowest ranks, fell to their faces in submission. All except one. Iblis stood tall. The seed of arrogance within him erupted into a blazing inferno of pride. When the Creator asked him, "What prevented you from prostrating when I commanded you?" Iblis uttered the words that birthed racism, superiority, and eternal doom. He said, "I am better than him. You created me from fire, and you created him from clay." He looked at the physical origin of Adam and failed to see the divine spirit breathed into him. Because of this ultimate defiance, Iblis was cast out from the divine mercy. He was stripped of his high rank, cursed for all eternity. But Iblis did not ask for forgiveness. Consumed by hatred and jealousy for this creature of clay, he made a chilling request. He asked the Creator for respite, to be kept alive until the day of resurrection. The Creator, in his infinite wisdom, granted this request. Thus the ultimate war was declared. Iblis swore an oath by the majesty of the Creator himself, saying, "Because you have put me in error, I will surely sit and wait for them on your straight path. Then I will come to them from before them and from behind them and on their right and on their left, and you will not find most of them grateful." This is the unseen reality of the world you live in. You are born onto a battlefield. The Shayatin, the descendants and followers of Iblis, are tasked with a single mission: to drag as many human souls as possible into the eternal fire with them. They do not fight with swords or guns. Their primary weapon is far more insidious. It is waswasa, the whisper. They flow through the human bloodstream, planting seeds of doubt, sparking the flames of anger, amplifying the allure of forbidden desires, and making arrogance look like confidence. They watch us from where we cannot see them, studying our weaknesses, waiting for moments of sadness, trauma, or greed to strike. Every time you feel an irrational surge of rage, every time you hesitate to give to the poor, every time an arrogant thought crosses your mind, or you feel the heavy chains of despair pulling you into darkness, you are experiencing the echoes of that ancient war. It is the whisper of smokeless fire trying to corrupt the clay. Yet you are far from defenseless. The Creator did not leave humanity abandoned in the dark. While the devils whisper, the angels inspire. For every dark thought, an angel whispers a counter-thought of truth, patience, and light. When you utter words of remembrance, when you seek refuge in the divine, the devils shrink away, burning, unable to withstand the light of faith. We walk through bustling city streets, sit in quiet rooms, and stand in empty fields, believing we are alone. But the air around us is thick with celestial and infernal traffic. Angels are descending with commands, recording our deeds and protecting our steps. Jinn are living their parallel lives, and the shayatin are constantly observing, calculating their next whisper. This unseen world is more real, more vast, and more permanent than the physical world we hold so dearly. The physical universe is merely a temporary stage, a testing ground built from atoms and molecules, destined to eventually crumble into dust. But what happens when our time on this stage comes to an end? What happens when the biological machine of the human body finally fails, the heart stops beating, and the eyes close for the last time? For the human being, death is not an ending. It is a birth into a new dimension. It is the moment the veil of the physical world is violently torn away, and the unseen suddenly becomes the only reality you can see. The battle of whispers is over. The angels of death approach. The true journey of the soul is about to begin. The moment of transition is not an ending, but a shattering of the illusion. For decades, you have worn your body like a garment, believing that the eyes you see with and the heart that beats within your chest are the sum of your existence. But as the biological machine begins to fail, as the breath grows heavy and the world of matter begins to recede, a new set of eyes begins to open. The veil, which has stayed firmly in place since the moment of your birth, is finally torn away. The unseen, which we discussed as a distant reality, suddenly becomes the only truth. This is the beginning of the second stage of the eternal journey, the Barzax. As the soul nears the exit of its earthly vessel, the room where you lie is no longer empty. If the departing soul is one of faith and righteousness, it sees beings of radiant beauty descending from the heavens. Their faces are as bright as the sun, and they carry with them a shroud from the gardens of paradise, infused with a fragrance that no earthly perfume could ever replicate. They sit in rows, stretching as far as the eye can see, waiting in silent, respectful anticipation. Then the angel of death arrives. He does not come as a figure of terror to the righteous. He comes as a messenger of release. He sits at the head of the soul and speaks with a voice of profound gentleness. "O peaceful soul, come out to the forgiveness and pleasure of your Lord." Like a single drop of water gliding effortlessly from the lip of a pitcher, the spirit slides out of the body. There is no struggle, only a sense of overwhelming peace. But for the soul that lived in defiance, arrogance, and darkness, the experience is a nightmare from which there is no awakening. To this soul, the room fills with entities of shadow, their faces dark and stern, carrying a shroud of coarse, foul-smelling fabric from the depths of the abyss. The angel of death arrives not with gentleness, but with a terrifying command, "O wicked soul, come out to the anger and wrath of your Lord." The spirit, terrified of what awaits it, tries to hide within the corners of the body, clinging to the flesh it once worshipped. It must be extracted with force, a process described in ancient texts as being as painful as a multi-barbed branch being pulled through wet wool. Once the soul is separated from the body, its journey through the heavens begins. The righteous soul is wrapped in the celestial shroud, and as it is carried upward by the angels, the scent of its fragrance fills the atmosphere between the earth and the sky. Every group of angels they pass asks, "Who is this beautiful spirit?" And the guardians reply with the best names the person was called by in the world. When they reach the gates of the lowest heaven, the command is given to open them. The soul is welcomed, passing from one heaven to the next, until it stands before the divine throne. There, the decree is issued, "Record the book of my servant in the highest ranks, and return him to the earth, for from it I created them, into it I will return them, and from it I will bring them forth once again." The wicked soul, however, finds the gates of heaven bolted shut. It is denied entry, its foul scent rejected by the celestial hosts. Its book is cast into the lowest depths, and the soul is hurled back toward the earth, destined to witness the final rites of its own physical remains. From the perspective of the soul, the funeral is a surreal experience. It watches as its body, the vessel it tended to for so many years, is washed, shrouded in simple white cloth and carried toward the earth. The soul hears the footsteps of those who carry it. It hears the whispers of the mourners and the prayers of the faithful. If it was a soul of goodness, it cries out, "Hasten me! Take me forward," eager for the peace that awaits. But if it was a soul of corruption, it cries out in regret, "Woe to me! Where are they taking me?" Then comes the moment of the grave. As the body is lowered into the earth and the last of the mourners walk away, the silence of the Barzax truly begins. The soul is reunited with its body in a way that defies physical logic. The grave is not just a hole in the ground, it is a portal. Suddenly, two formidable angels, Munker and Naker, appear. Their appearance is awe-inspiring, their voices like crashing thunder, and their eyes like flashes of lightning. They sit the soul up and begin the interrogation that determines the nature of its stay in the Barzax. 3 questions are asked, and the tongue cannot lie, for in this realm only the heart can speak. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? And who is this man who was sent among you? To the believer, the answers come with the ease of a lifetime of conviction. My Lord is Allah, my religion is Islam, and this man is Muhammad, the messenger of God, peace be upon him. Upon these words, a voice cries out from the heavens, "My servant has spoken the truth." Suddenly, the narrow walls of the grave expand as far as the eye can see. A window is opened to the gardens of paradise, and a cool, fragrant breeze fills the space. The grave becomes a garden of light, a place of rest where the soul sleeps in peace, catching glimpses of its ultimate home until the day of resurrection. But for the one who lived in doubt and hypocrisy, the answers do not come. No matter how much worldly knowledge they possessed, they find themselves stammering, I do not know. I heard the people saying something, so I said it too." The failure of the heart is absolute. A voice cries out, "He has lied." The window to paradise is slammed shut, and in its place, a window to the fire is opened. The walls of the grave begin to constrict, pressing in with a weight that would crush mountains. The grave becomes a pit of darkness and torment, a place of confinement where the soul is haunted by its own deeds, which take on a physical, terrifying form to keep it company in the dark. This is the Barzax, the barrier. It is a world that exists parallel to our own, yet it is completely inaccessible to the living. Billions of souls currently reside there. Some are in states of unimaginable bliss, wandering through gardens of light, while others are in states of profound regret and isolation. In the Barzax, time does not flow as it does for us. For the righteous, the centuries may feel like a brief afternoon nap, while for the suffering, every second is an eternity. They are waiting. We are all waiting. The physical world continues to spin, empires rise and fall, and generations are born and buried, but in the Barzax, the focus is singular. Every soul there knows exactly where it stands. The masks of the world have fallen. The wealth, the titles, and the illusions of power are gone. All that remains is the essence of the soul and the weight of the choices made during that brief flicker of time we call life. The Barzax is the long waiting room for the greatest event in the history of the universe. It is the silence before the storm. It is the final pause before the horn is blown and the very foundations of reality are shaken to their core. The silence of the Barzax is not a permanent state. It is the ultimate cosmic tension, a breath held for millennia in the lungs of time. For age upon age, the billions of souls residing in that intermediate barrier have waited, some in the cool gardens of their righteous deeds, others in the suffocating darkness of their regrets. They have waited for the moment when the physical universe and the unseen realm would finally collide, ending the trial of humanity and beginning the era of absolute truth. This is not merely the end of a world, it is the unmaking of reality as we know it. This is the day of resurrection, a day whose length is 50,000 years, and whose weight would crush the very stars themselves. The transition begins with a sound that defies every law of acoustics. Since the dawn of creation, the archangel Israfil has stood in a state of absolute readiness, his lips pressed against the great horn, his eyes fixed unblinkingly upon the divine throne, waiting for a singular command that has been predestined since before the stars were lit. When that command finally ripples through the heavens, Israfil blows the first blast, the blast of terror. In an instant, the harmony of the spheres is shattered. Imagine the sky, which has served as a protective canopy for humanity for eons, suddenly losing its structural integrity. It begins to heave and sway, tearing open like an old parchment. The stars, those ancient guardians of the night, are no longer fixed in their orbits. They lose their brilliance and begin to fall, cascading through the void like withered leaves in a violent autumn gale. The sun, the source of all life and light, is folded up, its fiery corona extinguished in an instant. The moon, stripped of its reflected glory, is eclipsed in eternal shadow. The earth beneath our feet, which we once believed to be the solid, immovable foundation of our lives, begins to shake with a violence that no Richter scale could ever measure. The mountains, the massive anchors of the continents, are uprooted from the crust. They do not merely crumble, they are pulverized into dust, drifting through the air like tufts of carded wool. The oceans, those vast reservoirs of mystery, do not merely flood, they are set ablaze. The very water that once sustained life turns into a roiling inferno, as the barriers between the elements collapse. The crust of the planet is leveled, smoothed out into a vast, white, featureless plain. Every building, every monument, every mountain, and every trace of human civilization is erased from existence. Then comes the second blast, the blast of death. As the sound wave of the horn sweeps across the dimensions, every living thing in the heavens and on the earth falls silent. The birds in the sky, the beasts in the fields, the jinn in their hidden realms, and the humans who were still walking the ground, all are extinguished. Even the angels, those majestic beings of light, return to their origin, until nothing remains in the vast, cold void but the Eternal One, the King of Kings. In that moment of absolute solitude, the Creator asks a question that echoes through the silence of a dead universe: to whom belongs the kingdom this day? And the answer comes from the absolute reality of His own existence: to Allah, the One, the Irresistible. But the story of humanity is not meant to end in the void. After a period known only to the divine, the command for the third and final blast is given: the blast of resurrection. The flattened earth begins to heave once more, but this time, it is not with destruction, but with a terrifying, miraculous birth. A celestial rain, like the essence of life itself, descends upon the dust of the planet. Beneath the soil, the Ajam al-Danab, the indestructible tailbone of every human being, begins to sprout. Our bodies are reconstructed from the earth, molecule by molecule, bone by bone, just as a plant emerges from a seed. One by one, billions of people begin to rise from the ground. We emerge naked, barefoot, and uncircumcised, stripped of every worldly possession, every title, and every mask. We rise from the soil with our senses heightened to a degree that would have been impossible for the fragile human brain to handle in life. Our eyes now see the unseen, our ears hear the cries of the universe, and our hearts feel the full weight of our deeds. This is the great gathering, the Hashr. The scene is one of unimaginable, chaotic terror. Imagine the entire human race, from the first man Adam to the very last child born, standing together on a vast, level plain. There are no landmarks, no shadows, and no escape. The terror of this moment is so profound that it severs the most sacred bonds of human existence. In the world, a mother would sacrifice her life for her child, but on this day the mother flees from her nursing infant. The husband flees from his wife, the brother from his brother, and the son from his father. Every single soul is entirely consumed by its own state, gripped by a singular, paralyzing thought: what will become of me? The sun, once 93 million miles away, is brought near, its heat intensified beyond any physical measure. The heat is so oppressive that humanity begins to drown in their own sweat. The volume of this sweat is not random, it is dictated by the weight of the choices made in life. For some, the sweat reaches only their ankles. For others, it rises to their knees, their waists, or their chests. And for some, the sweat rises to their mouths as they choke and gasp in the literal manifestation of their own transgressions. The air is thick with the scent of fear and the sound of billions of hearts beating in unison. The wait is agonizingly long, a period that feels like 50,000 years of standing in the blinding light of truth. Yet, amidst this ocean of terror, there are islands of peace. Those who lived their lives in the shade of faith, who protected the weak, who remembered their Creator in the silence of the night, and who were fair in their dealings, they find themselves sheltered. They stand under the shade of the divine throne, cooled by a celestial breeze, as if they are merely waiting for a brief afternoon appointment. As the tension of the wait reaches its breaking point, the heavens are torn asunder once more. The angels descend in ranks, their numbers and majesty dwarfing the entire human race. They surround the gathering in perfect, silent formation. Then, the majesty of the divine presence becomes manifest, and the court of the King of Kings is convened. This is Al-Hizb, the final account. The records, the books kept by the Kiraman Katibin, are released. They fly through the air like birds of omen. This is the moment that determines the next eternity. If your book is placed in your right hand, a surge of joy and relief erupts from your soul, a light that illuminates the darkness. You will want to run through the crowds shouting, "Read my book. I knew this day was coming." But if the book is placed in your left hand or from behind your back, a cry of despair will rise from your lungs, a sound of such profound regret that it would make the mountains melt if they still existed. One by one, every human being is called forward to stand in private audience before the Creator. There is no translator, no lawyer, and no place to hide. The King of the universe presents your life to you second by second. He reminds you of the blessings He gave you and how you used them. He reminds you of the moments you thought you were hidden from the world, committing acts of darkness, and He reveals that He was with you, watching and waiting for you to turn back. In this divine courtroom, the tongue is no longer the master of the narrative. In the world, we could lie, we could manipulate, and we could justify our cruelty. But on this day, a seal is placed upon the mouths. Instead, your own body begins to testify. Your skin will speak of the forbidden things it touched. Your feet will bear witness to the places they carried you in pursuit of vanity. Your hands will describe the wealth they took and the harm they caused. Even the very earth you walked upon will testify to what you did on its surface. Every atom's weight of good and every atom's weight of evil is brought into the light. The scales of the mizan are set, scales so sensitive that they can weigh the intention behind a single smile or the hidden malice behind a polite word. The accounts are settled with a justice that is absolute and terrifyingly precise. The oppressed are given their rights from their oppressors. The hidden charities, the silent prayers, and the secret tears shed in the middle of the night are revealed as massive mountains of light on the scale. But the arrogance, the greed, and the coldness of heart are revealed as heavy chains of darkness. Before the final crossing, the believers are invited to the Hawd, the cistern of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Its water is whiter than milk, colder than ice, and sweeter than honey. To drink from it once is to never feel thirst again for the rest of eternity. The messenger, peace be upon him, stands there, recognizing his followers by the light radiating from the parts of their bodies they used to wash for prayer. But as some approach, angels push them away, revealing that they changed the message and turned their backs on the truth after he was gone. Finally, the ultimate test is revealed, the Sirat. It is a bridge stretched over the roaring, hungering depths of the abyss. It is described as being thinner than a hair and sharper than a sword, and the only light available to cross it is the light of your own faith. For those whose hearts were filled with the light of God, they will cross the bridge with the speed of a lightning bolt, or a falling star, or a galloping horse. They will feel no fear, for their light paves the way. But for those who lived in the darkness of sin and hypocrisy, their light will be a flickering candle or no light at all. They will crawl, they will stumble, and the hooks of the abyss will reach up to snatch them. One by one, those who failed the trial of life fall into the depths, their cries disappearing into the roar of the fire below. The day of judgment is the great separator. It is the day when the true nature of every soul is laid bare, when the masks fall, and when the journey of the soul reaches its final, irreversible crossroads. The scales have tipped. The bridge has been crossed. The eternal gates of the two final destinations are beginning to swing open on their ancient hinges. The time of action is over. The time of eternity has begun. The final crossroads has been reached. The scales of justice have settled, the bridge of Sirat has been crossed, and the great gathering has come to an end. The temporary stage of the universe has vanished, and the era of the absolute, the eternal, and the immutable has begun. At this ultimate moment, the vast assembly of humanity is divided into two final streams, each flowing toward an abode from which there is no return. This is the culmination of the human story, the final dwelling places of the righteous and the rebellious. Let us first look toward the horizon where the sky turns to a hue of terrifying crimson and suffocating black. The gates of the abyss, known as Jahannam, stand as massive, jagged maws of iron and fire, fueled not by wood or gas, but by the very stones of the earth and the bodies of those who rejected the truth. To speak of the fire of this realm is to speak of an element that bears no resemblance to the flickering flames of our world. The fire of the earth is a single portion of the 70 parts of the heat of the abyss. It is a flame that does not give off light, but rather a deep, impenetrable darkness that consumes everything it touches. The architecture of this realm is one of absolute confinement. It is divided into 7 descending levels, each more intense and agonizing than the one above it. The inhabitants do not merely walk into this place. They are dragged in chains 70 cubits long, bound in yokes that prevent any movement or relief. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of burning sulfur and the cries of billions of souls who finally realize the weight of their choices. There is no air here, only a searing wind that peels the skin and a smoke that chokes the lungs. But the torment of the abyss is not limited to heat. In its deepest crevices lies the Zamarir, a cold so absolute and so piercing that it shatters the spirit. It is a freezing void where the inhabitants seek refuge from the fire, only to find a cold that bites deeper than the flames. The nourishment provided in this realm is a cruel mockery of life. There is the tree of Zakkum, rising from the very bottom of the fire, its fruit looking like the heads of devils. To eat from it is to swallow molten brass that boils in the stomach like the seething of a cauldron. When the thirst becomes unbearable, the drink provided is scalded water and pus, a liquid so foul and so hot that it scalds the face before it ever touches the lips. In this realm, the greatest pain is not physical. It is the crushing weight of regret. The inhabitants look back at the flicker of time they spent on earth, realizing how easily they could have chosen a different path. They cry out to the guardians of the gate, "O Malik, let your Lord put an end to us." But the answer that comes back after an eternity is a chilling silence. You are to remain. They look toward the inhabitants of paradise, calling out for a drop of water or a morsel of food, but a barrier has been placed between them that can never be breached. They are forgotten in the darkness, left to the consequences of the arrogance they once wore like a garment. Now turn your gaze away from the shadows and look toward the horizon of light. The gates of paradise, Jannah, swing open on hinges of gold and pearls, radiating a light that the human eye was never designed to perceive. The air is not composed of oxygen and nitrogen, but of a fragrance so intoxicating that it can be smelled from a distance of 100 years. The soil of this realm is not dust and dirt, but pure musk and saffron, and the pebbles are made of diamonds, rubies, and emeralds. Paradise is a world of infinite expansion and limitless beauty. It is divided into levels of light, each higher than the last, with the highest being the Firdaus, located directly beneath the throne of the Creator. In this realm, the concept of fatigue, sadness, and boredom has been erased from the human soul. There is no aging, no illness, and no conflict. Every inhabitant is restored to a state of perpetual youth and radiant beauty, their hearts cleansed of every trace of malice or envy. The architecture of paradise is a masterpiece of divine craftsmanship. There are palaces built of bricks of gold and silver, mortared with musk. Each mansion is a world unto itself, filled with furnishings of silk and brocade, and vessels of crystal and silver. The gardens are lush with trees whose trunks are made of gold, their branches sagging with fruits that bow down to the touch. These fruits do not require peeling or effort. They provide a taste that evolves with every bite, satisfying every hidden desire of the soul. Through these gardens flow 4 eternal rivers. A river of pure water that never becomes stagnant, a river of milk that never changes in taste, a river of honey that is pure and filtered, and a river of wine that does not intoxicate or cause headache, but provides a delight that transcends the senses. The inhabitants lounge on raised couches, overlooking landscapes that defy the imagination. They converse in voices of peace, sharing stories of the world they left behind, marveling at how a few years of patience and faith led to an eternity of such overwhelming bliss. In paradise, every wish is granted the moment it forms in the mind. If a soul desires to fly, it flies. If it desires to see a loved one, they are present. The beauty of the inhabitants increases with every passing moment, as they are constantly bathed in a light that grows more brilliant. But amidst all these rewards, the palaces, the gardens, the rivers, and the eternal youth, there is a reward that makes everything else seem like a shadow. On a day known as the Day of Increase, the inhabitants of paradise are gathered in a vast valley of musk. The Creator will address them asking, "Are you satisfied? Shall I give you something better than all of this?" The souls will look around at the unimaginable beauty of their surroundings and ask, "O Lord, what could be better than this?" At that moment, the final veil is lifted. The inhabitants of paradise are granted the ultimate vision, the ability to gaze upon the majesty and beauty of the Creator Himself. In that single moment of vision, every pleasure of paradise is forgotten, for the soul finally finds the source of all peace and all light. It is a moment of such profound ecstasy that time itself stands still. This is the end of the journey. This is the moment the soul finally comes home. The world we once knew, with its struggles, its tears, its shadows, and its fleeting joys, is now a distant memory, a brief dream from which we have finally awoken. The journey of the soul was never about the destination of the body, it was about the orientation of the heart. Every prayer, every act of kindness, every moment of patience, and every whisper of faith was a brick laid in the foundation of this eternal home. The gates have closed. The inhabitants of the abyss have found their justice, and the inhabitants of the light have found their mercy. The two worlds have been separated forever. As the echoes of the great journey fade into the silence of eternity, a single truth remains. Life was the question, and the state of your soul at this very moment is the final, irrevocable answer. The journey is complete, the abodes are eternal, and the peace is absolute.